Alright, our next topic is loops. So let's create a new notebook. So this loops is another important topic, fundamental topics. Let's name our day 4 and let's connect it. Okay, it says too many sessions, so let me close my previous sessions. And yes, let's refresh it now. Okay, let me just manage this. Let's remove day 2 and day 1, close. Right, so talking about loops, right? Now loop, as the definition itself says, it's like something repetitive, right? For example, you hear about why are you playing the same song in a loop, right? So, or play the song in a loop, right? Play the video in a loop, right? It's like a loop, right? So it's something that is happening again and again, right? So repeat action, that's nothing but a loop. So even in Python, you can also create those loops. So let's talk. I mean, before even going into these loops, we need to understand some words. Okay, so let's understand those words. Now we are talking about loops. So in Python, you have for loop, you have while loop. So here I'll talk about for loop. You can look about while loop as well. So mostly people use for loop, right? So for most of the things. So in similarly to if, else, elif, there is also for. So it is also a keyword in Python. You see the pink color that we saw even for if also, right? We saw this pink color for if. So for is a keyword, and you can also note down another keyword. It's called range, and range is more like a function. So function is nothing but, so later we will talk about functions as well in the next week, but range is also a function. So remember we did print. So print also had this brown color thing, right? So even range also has something like this. The good thing about Colab is if you just put your mouse pointer on this, it will tell you what is this print, all of this. If you put on this range, it will explain you the whole definitions as well. Okay, so you need to understand about for, you need to understand about this range. Do a control /, this will comment. So for is a keyword, range is also a keyword. So now let's talk about how to write a simple for loop in Python. So this range, so range is not in statistics, people, if you know a little bit about statistics, you might know about range. So range is like low to high. For example, range of 1 to 100, right? So range has a starting number, ending number, right? So range, so let's say you put range of 1 to 100. So it's called from 1 to 100, all the numbers. So what is the starting one? What is the ending one, right? So range always needs two things, start and end. Okay, so by default start is equals to 0. So that means if you say a range of 10, that means it is nothing but 0 to 10. If you say range of 5, that means it is 0 to 5. Okay, otherwise if you specify, let's say 10 to 20, right? So here it's not 0, right? So it's here you specified starting is 10 and ending is 20. If you don't specify, then it will consider that as 0 to 20. So now for example, let's say I want to print numbers between 1 to 10 using a for loop. So let's see how do we do that. See, manually if you want to do, you do print of 1, okay, run it, then you do print of 2, then you run it. So you do it 10 times, right? Now instead of doing it 10 times, let us see how we can use for loop. Okay, for, so the way it works is for, then you have a variable, right? And we have something called in. I'll talk about in a bit as well, right? So this variable, let's say we call it I, right? For I in range of 1 to 10, you put a colon at the end of for, and then you do something. So let's say I'm printing this I. Okay, let me run this first and then I'll explain. You see the magic, it has printed all the numbers. Okay, so David, lots happening here, but what is this I, what is this in. Okay, range I understand, start to end, colon I understand, print I understand, but why did it print only 9 numbers? Yes, we'll unwrap each of them one by one. Okay, now what does this mean for, so here I, so in Python words it is called an iterator. So iterator is nothing but repeat, as I said, repeat, right? So here whatever you put does not matter. Let's say I put x and print x, it will still work. Instead of x I put I put David here, right? And here also I put David here, right? So it does not matter. So this is more like a temporary thing. Okay, so for some iterator in range of this, print that iterator. That's all. That is how Python understands. Okay, so let's come back to I. So that is about I. Now in is like a English word, right? So in is also another keyword that we've learned today, right? So we learned about for, we learned about range. Now we're talking about in. So in is more like an English word, right? For iterator in numbers between 1 to 10, print that iterator. Okay, for I in, right? So if you don't put in, it will, let's say you don't put in and you just run this, it will throw you an error. Okay, it will not work, right? So for I in range of 1 to 10, print this I. Okay, so this is clear. Now tell me why this printed only till 9. Now the problem with Python here is, inside range, if you put an end number, it only does some action till end minus 1. Very important note. Okay, so only it works till end minus 1. Now if I have to print it till 10, make a guess, what do we need? Exactly, you have to put 11, right? Now run this, it will print till 10. So that is Python way of understanding, right? So you have to put 11 to get 10. If you want 15, you have to put 16. So just plus one number. Okay, so it does end minus 1. Okay, if you want to print till 100 numbers, then you have to print 1 to 100. Okay, so David, can you also print 0? Yes, for 0 you don't have to specify anything. For I in range of 100, you just put this, you see 0 is also there. Quite amazing, isn't it? Right, now for example, let us combine the one that we learned in the last lecture to this one. So let's say I want to combine both if and for, right? Now the action that I'm doing is just printing, but what if I want to print only multiples of 10? Okay, in the range of 100. So let's say I print from 1 to 100, but I only want to print numbers like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Right, so and so on till 100. So how do I get that? So let's see how we can do that. So before we do that, we need to understand that multiples of 10, what does it mean? That means you have a number n, and when you divide that number with 10, you get a remainder of 0, isn't it? So that is what a multiple of 10 meaning, right? Now so let's see how you can get. So remember we talked about arithmetic operation. So let's say I have 100, I divide this by 10, you get the quotient as 10. But what if I need the remainder? You put a percent symbol and then you do this operation, you will get 0 as the remainder. Like let's say I put 103 and divide it, you see remainder, you get 3. Okay, now what we understood is, if I divide any number by 10, it should return me a remainder of 0. Then I understand it's a multiple of 10. Okay, now if I have to write, I have a, let's call a number, let's give a variable name. So I have a random number 60. Okay, now I want to check if this is divisible by 10 or not. So I'll write a if condition. If, you have to put your condition, if number percentage 10, does it result in 0? Then you say print the number. Okay, so you run this, you see you get 60, right? And else you print nothing. Okay, you just print empty, right? Okay, it prints empty. If I put 61, it prints empty, nothing, right? If I put 68, nothing. If I put 70, it works. Okay, so now let us combine both of them. Okay, now for I in range of 100, now I'll check whether I is divisible by 100 or not. So I'll do if I is divisible by 10 which results in a remainder of 0, then print I. Okay, else do nothing, right? So just print empty, right? Now let's run this and let's see what actually happened. So what happened here, right? So okay, you see that only if it is divisible by 10 resulting in a remainder of 0, it is printing that number, otherwise it is not printing that number. You can also write not divisible. Okay, and let's run this. You can see it is not divisible, but 40. Okay, isn't this amazing, right? In the print statements you can also combine your string and number as well. For example, what you can write is, you can say divisible and I, not divisible and I, right? You put a colon here. Now let's run this. You can say every number it is not divisible, right? Quite amazing, isn't it? So that's how we can get multiples of 10. If you want multiples of 20, you do the same thing, right? Right, you can see 40, right? So 20, right? So this way you can actually combine both if and for statements together. I hope you understood. Let's move on to the next lecture.